Okay, so when the exponent's immediately outside, you multiply, and we got those rules to the side, moving on. So remember, we're only on example 2, and it's already this challenging, okay? So just have a moment and think about that. Multiplying whole numbers and fractions, negative, positive, adding fractions, adding whole numbers, got everything going on, and we're only on example 2, okay? So here's how this one happens. So remember order of operations, okay? If you don't follow order of operations, you're gonna get all these wrong. So I'm gonna rewrite it a little bit bigger. So we got y to the 5/2 power raised to the negative second power. Okay, so we have to deal with this exponent first, right? Because we're multiplying. So you multiply first and then add. So if I just take this off to the side, just multiplying those two things off to the side, I'd have 5/2 times negative 2. I'm going to just put it over 1. And then remember, when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across, top and bottom. Okay? So this is one way to do this. We'd end up with negative 10 over 2, which equals negative 5. The second way I taught you last week, which some of you liked, some of you don't. I don't care which way you do it. Right? The 2's can cancel, so you can cross cancel. And then you're left with a negative 1 right here. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, same answer. In my opinion, this is way easier to do. You're going to end up having to do it that way in the long run, like as you get into harder and harder math classes. But moral of the story is when we multiply these two right here, we end up with negative 5. Okay? So we have y to the third power times, right, parenthesis there, but we're still going to add negative 5. So the two variables and exponents are next to one another, so that's when we have to add them. So we have y cubed plus negative 5, like that. So you can just say 3 minus 5, negative 2. My favorite question to ask is, are we done? Your answer should pretty much always be no, because we can't have negative exponents, so what happens? Yeah. Can't have negative exponents, so what's the answer? Anyone at home or in person? Oh, y'all forgot after 2 whole days?
Y to the second?
It's going to be y to the second, but where is it? In the numerator or denominator?
Oh. Is it y over 2?
1 over y squared. Okay? 1 over y squared. So there's a whole lot going on that what's supposed to be an easy problem, right? Because we had to multiply up top here, right? Then we have to add these two. So we're mixing in those rules already. Okay, so you just got to be careful with those things. So let's do A first. So we have x squared. You don't have to write them all down. We're not going to do them all. Just write the ones down I write down. I forgot the squared. So x squared times the quantity x to the 6th power raised to the negative 4th power. Okay? So first thing we got to take care of is right here, multiplying the negative 4 and the 6. So 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. So we have x squared. And then I'm just going to leave the parentheses, x to the negative 24th power.
Hey, we thought you don't solve it.
No, we're going to solve it. So now we've got the variable and exponents next to one another, which means we're going to add them, subtract them. It kind of depends how you look at it. X to the 2 minus 24, or you could say plus negative 24. Right, so you get x to the negative 22nd, which becomes 1 over x to the positive 22nd. So again, these are the easy ones, right? So think about that. All right, how... No, we're not going to retry one on your own. Let's do C because it looks nasty. Okay, I'm going to make them x's instead of s's. X to the negative 5th raised to the negative 1/2 power times x to the 3/2 power. So not only are we doing like order of operations, multiplying first, then adding or subtracting, but we're also multiplying a whole number in a fraction and adding fractions. So you can see how much comes into these problems. So I'm going to put that negative 5 over 1 and I'm going to multiply straight across top and bottom. So negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. 1 times 2 is 2. So with this first section right here, we end up with 5 over 2. Okay? And I still have this second parenthesis to deal with, x to the 3/2 power. Okay, and I'm just adding those. So when you add two fractions, add the numerator, leave the denominator alone. So we get x to the 8/2 power. And if you can divide or reduce a fraction or whatever, then 8 divided by 2 is 4. So x to the 4th power. So again, not that bad, but you have to know when you add fractions, add the numerators, leave the denominator alone. When you multiply them, multiply straight across, top and bottom. Okay? So if you don't know that, or if that doesn't come naturally to your noggin, write that down. Don't be a fool. Write it down.
Mr. Evans,
Yeah.
just to let you know, I have the text to prove it, but I'm going to leave 5 minutes before the fire truck because I have somewhere else to be.
Okay? I'll look at attendance and see what's going on. Okay, they normally put it in there. All right, let's do A here. So we're going to do 7m to the 9th raised to the 3rd power. So here's what happens with these kinds, and freshmen historically have screwed these up frequently. So please listen to what I'm doing, because I have all these freshmen that just fully ignore it and get a bunch of problems wrong and get a lower grade. So we have to multiply. So I put the little 1 above the 7 to remember you still need to do 7 to the 3rd power. So it's 7 to the 3rd power, m to the 27th power. And I just did this one last period. I couldn't remember what 7 cubed was. Normally I know those, but it is, because I remember from last period, 343. So 7 to the 3rd power, 343, m to the 27th power. So I would almost always square, cube, do whatever to end up with this number down here. Unless it's like, you know, trillion, whatever, gigantic number, don't worry about it. You can write it in scientific notation. But I won't give you huge numbers on a quiz, so you're good. Try Let's do C. Try C on your own, answer in the chat. I'll write a figure over here. So the quantity 3g to the 4th power raised to the negative second. So I'll give you a couple minutes, try that. I'll be watching people in person because that'll give you an idea of when you guys might be done as well. So fire away, give that one a shot. Remember in the end, no negative exponents. You're going to end up with a negative exponent. So remember, no negative exponents, you got to deal with that. Also remember, when the exponent is negative, when you move it to the denominator, only the exponent becomes positive. Not the number, only the exponent. I thought our fire drill was supposed to be 150. I'm going to look.
It's 2.
250? Oh, good. 250 for the fire drill. So it should be during work time anyways. You're going to go elsewhere because you're going to be the one who starts the fire, right?
What?
I said you're going to be the one that starts the fire?
Yeah.
Yes, right.
I have a big performance
Oh, cool.
today, so I...
Are you doing the zombie apocalypse? Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds
Are
fun.
you going to watch it?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
I love going to those things. It's fun.
Yeah, you tune into 89.5.
Okay.
I think. Something like that.
I'm sure Doc.
5.9 or 89.5. One of those.
I'm sure Doc put something out there. Okay, bus move on this.
Can you tell me?
Mm-hmm.
Is this correct?
What's 3 squared?
Wait, 3? It's negative 3 times negative 2.
No, it's not. That's an exponent.
Oh, 3 squared, that's 9.
Okay. And then think about where that 9 should go. You're on the right track. Don't erase yet, like you're about 75% of the way there.
Is this it?
You got one little mistake on there. What you get? Come on, you got this. You got something?
Yeah.
Oh, look at it. Let's see what the people in the chat have to say. Oh, nothing. Charlotte's got something. I've seen of the 5 people in person and the 3 people, so 8 people have answered. That's a good fix, Charlotte. Good job. Yes, so we've had like 2 or 3 get it correct so far. So let's talk about this. So you can see these things are seemingly easy, but a lot of people miss them. Okay? So we have to multiply 1 times negative 2 and 4 times negative 2. So we end up with 3 to the negative 2nd power, g to the negative 8th power. So we have some negative exponents we got to deal with there, right? So it becomes 1 over 3 squared. Right, I saw some negative 6's out there and in here. And then g to the 8th power. Right, so when you move it to the denominator, the exponent becomes positive. You don't mess with the number. Okay? And then you just have to finish it off by squaring the 3. So your final answer is 1 over 9g squared.
Wait, why is it not negative 9g?
Because the 3 is not negative.
Oh.
Right, if the 3 were negative, then you would have a negative in front of the 9. So when you move it, only the exponent becomes positive. Okay, so I saw a whole bunch of wrong answers there. So some of you just multiplied 3 times negative 2. That's not how exponents work, right? 3 squared is 9. 3 squared is not 6. 3 squared is 9. So just be careful with those things. Okay, so you can see all of the errors that are possible here. So again, slow and deliberate is a way to do this homework, following the order of operations to a T. So I'm gonna write this one bigger. So we have n to the 1/2 power raised to the 10th power times a quantity 4mn. The n is raised to the negative 2/3 power, and all of that is raised to the 3rd power. Again, this is only considered medium difficulty on these kinds of problems. So if your brain just went, come to access time. I think it's pretty easy to deal with this first one here. So if I just write off to the side, just multiplying 1/2 times 10, right? You can multiply straight across top and bottom, end up with 10 over 2, which is 5. Or you can just cross cancel, 10 divided by 2 is 5. And you just get to the answer one step quicker. So it's n to the 5th is what we got for this first section. If crossing it off makes you feel better, cross it off. I'm going to put the little ones on the 4 and the m. I seriously recommend you do the same because I see students that think they're too good for that. I don't know what their problem is. For whatever reason, they won't do it and they get it wrong almost every time. Maybe it's because I say that and they take it as a challenge. I'm never going to write the little one and they still get it wrong. So don't do that. Just write the little one. So 1 times 3 is 3, so we get 4 cubed there, 4 to the 3rd power. 1 times 3 is 3 again, so we have m to the 3rd power. Now, doing the negative 2, this part, off to the side, negative 2/3 times 3. Again, I think cross-canceling is the easiest way to handle this. So if you cancel the 2 3's, you just get negative 2. If you want to multiply straight across, top and bottom, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, divided by 3, still negative 2.
Wait, Mr. Evans?
Yep.
Then would you combine the n?
We are, yep, yep. So we have n to the negative 2nd. So when you write these things as your final answer, you want to write the number part first and then the letters in alphabetical order. So 4 to the 3rd power means 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. So we have 64. I'm going to do the m next because that comes first in alphabetical order. M cubed. There's nothing else to combine that with. If it helps you as well to kind of cross this stuff off as you go so you keep it all straight, not a bad idea. And then all I have to do is 5 plus negative 2, or 5 minus 2 is 3. So you get n to the 3rd power. Okay. So are you guys going outside for the teaser? That's what you normally calls it?
Yeah, we're performing outside.
At least it's nicer.
Yeah.
Super bright.
On Thursday it's gonna be nice.
Oh, good.
70s.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, one little.
It's only gonna last 15 to 30 minutes. So it's pretty short.
Almost all the other school districts had snow days on Monday. I guess because we were asynchronous, they're like, yeah, whatever. Which is not cool.
We had snow days?
Yeah. Like Jefferson County schools had snow days, DPS had snow day, St. Vrain had a snow day. It's like Longmont, Denver, or Arvada, like that way south.
Holy Family have?
I don't know on the religious schools if they have snow days more or less frequently.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. Okay, so we have x. I'm just going to multiply these two. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. And then I'm going to put those little ones on the 3 and the x. I'm going to take that 4 and multiply it times both of those ones and then the 5. Shay, what's your question?
It was about the other problem.
Okay, go for it.
Right. So when you did the first what was it? The first cross cancel for the fractions. How did you? I'm just like curious. How did you get 5? Like when you crossed out
Just
10?
right up here.
Yeah.
So 10 divided by 2,
Oh.
that's
okay.
all. It's oftentimes easier than you think, right? But you look at the entirety of that whole problem and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what my name is. So just 10 divided by 2, that's all.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Please, the last period did a really good job asking questions, like slowing me down, ask questions if you get confused on any of these rules. So please do that, because I guarantee others have the same question. So 1 times 4, multiplying the 1 on the 3 times the 4 outside the parenthesis is 3 to the 4th power. Right, and I'm just kind of writing them in a big list, like lining them up, and then we'll write it in the proper order at the end. And then we have x to the 4th power. And then 5 times 4 is 20, so y to the 20th power. So now that you know these exponent rules, hopefully this concept, 3 squared times 3 squared, makes a little more sense. 3 squared is 9, 3 squared is 9, 9 times 9 is?
81.
81. See, I asked you, like, what's 2 plus 2, and some of you freak out, right? You're like, oh my God, he's asking me a question. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. You're good. You got this. Okay, so we get 81 for 3 to the 4th. All of you can do that for sure without question. I'm going to write the 81 first, because the numbers always come first. Okay? What happens to the x's? They cancel, right? Because negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So I'll just show that off to the side as well. So x to the negative 4th plus 4 gives us x to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so that's why the x part just cancels out. So it's 81 y to the 20th power.
If you're really lazy, couldn't you just do x to the 0? Y to the 2?
If you do x to the 0, take a half point off because you didn't simplify.
Okay.
Right, because 1 times 81 is 81.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's because that happens with students on quizzes and stuff. They leave like whatever the variable is to the 0 power, and I'll take a half point off and they get pissed. And I'm like, you didn't simplify. Okay, so it's a good question to ask. So final answer, 81 y to the 20th. All right. Yay, more challenging problems. 3c to the 5/2 power. All of that raised to the 4th. I'm just going to multiply these two. 2 times 3 is 6. So c to the 6th power. And put the little 1 on the 3 to remember to multiply. That's why I have you guys do that. So we're going to distribute that 4 to both parts within the parenthesis. So we have 3 to the 4th power. You should already know that's 81 because we just did it. I'm just going to show this step though. And this one you can cross cancel as well. So let's talk about the 2 different ways to handle this fraction whole number multiplication. So just off to the side, 5 over 2 times 4 over 1. Remember, if you like to multiply straight across top and bottom, 20 over 2, which equals 10. Or you can do it this way, the easier way, the way that many students don't like for God knows what reason. Right, so 4 divides into 2 2 times, 5 times 2, 10. right? So we saved this one step right here. We didn't have to deal with that part. That's why you do it, okay? So we get c to the 10th power right here. And I still have this c to the 6th. Don't forget about that. And then I just have to add the 10 and the 6. So we get 81c to the 16th power. So really important you guys ask questions, because you'll get to the homework and you'll see problems like this and you go, your brain, like a little brain matter might leak out of your ear or something. It'll make it hurt, okay? So ask questions if you need to. Look at that beaut. Write that sucker down. 6ab raised to the 3rd power times the quantity 5a to the negative 3rd squared. Then we'll talk about it. So we're going to put the little ones where they go. And then distribute the exponents to all 3 parts in the first one, and both parts in the second. So we end up with 6 cubed, 6 to the 3rd power, a to the 3rd power, b to the 3rd power. So I just dealt with that first parenthesis, now we'll deal with the second one. And I'm just kind of writing them in a row. So 5 squared, and then a to the negative 6th power. So multiplying those exponents when it's right outside of the parenthesis. So 6 to the 3rd power, 6 times 6 is 36, 36 times 6 is 216. Then I'm going to add the 3 plus negative 6 to get a to the negative 3rd. So crossing off as we go, just so you can see what's left. So b cubed. And then 5 squared is 25. So here's the question, you guys. What do I have to do with this 216 and 25? You can show me with your arms. You either add or multiply. Add or multiply. Come on, punks. Show me at home. Is that in addition? Is that, I can't tell who that is. Cole, addition? Yeah? Multiply. Everyone in person has it correct that's trying. So 216 times 25 is 5,400. So remember, we treat it as like all separate little things. A to the negative 3rd, should I stay or should I go? Go, right? So that a to the 3rd goes in the denominator, and the b to the 3rd stays. So 5,400 b cubed over a cubed. Any questions? So I know, like, when I'm doing these problems in class, I make them seem easy. I've done a ton of these, so just don't assume they're going to be easy. Oh, look at that beauty. Yeah. What you guys can do is write down what I wrote, the formula here. So I got it from this formula right up top. So as you write that down, I'll read the question. But a lot of you guys just totally shut down. I've said this before. I'll say it again many times this year. I'm not crazy. I know I'm saying it again. I don't always know I'm saying it again, but in general I do, to be perfectly honest. But if I see a formula, I know I'm gonna have to plug in numbers. Like, it's really not that hard. I see two numbers in scientific notation, I'm gonna plug them into the formula. So even if I couldn't read, I could still do this problem. Okay, just saying. That's how straightforward they make them in Algebra 1. But I can read, so I'm gonna read the problem. So we're raising a number in scientific notation to a power to a power. That's basically what we're doing today. So the expression 1/2 v squared gives the kinetic energy in joules of an object with a mass of m kilograms traveling at a speed of v meters per second. What is the kinetic energy of an experimental unmanned jet with a mass of 1.3 times 10 to the third kilograms, traveling at a speed of about 3.1 times 10 to the third, it's the mass per second, so kilograms per second, velocity essentially. Okay, so first thing we need to deal with on this kind of problem, right, following the order of operations, so make sure you write down my little helpful hint here, multiply the numbers, add the exponents. You already wrote that last week, write it again, you'll remember. But following order of operations, first thing I have to do is deal with this exponent right there, right? To deal with that exponent, what I have to do is, again, put the little one up there, and I'm going to multiply the two exponents, okay? So I get 3.1 squared, which I did last period, is 9.61. So 3.1 squared is 9.61. So we're going to write the beginning of the answer down below, the helpful hint. 9.6, I don't want to write in green though. So we get 9.61 times 10 to the, show me with your hands at home, 10 to the what? Good job. 3 times 2 is 6. Easiest math question I'll ask you all year. So we dealt with the first one, right? We dealt with the multiplying 3.1 times 3.1, and we dealt with the exponents. I'm going to leave this 1/2 till the very, very end. I'm going to write the 1.3 times 10 to the third. And write that 1/2 in front. So this helpful hint still applies to multiplying two numbers with scientific notation. Right, so I have to multiply the numbers, add the exponents. So it's going to be times 10 to the 9th power. And then I have to multiply 1.3 times 9.61. And 1.3 times 9.61. I'll just clear it out so you can see it. 1.3 times 9.61 is, my calculator will let me hit enter, 12.493. So we have 12.493 times 10 to the 9th power. Last thing we have to deal with is a 1/2 here in front. So when you multiply the 1/2 in front, all you have to do is multiply it by the 12.493. Okay, and I'll show you why in a second with a much easier example than this, and you guys will understand the rule. I don't have to multiply, take half of 10 to the 9th power, only the 12.493. So half of 12.493, I can just divide that by 2. I get, and then I'm going to do scientific notation. I saw in somebody's homework they're asking about rounding. So we'll talk about rounding as well. But so if we round to the hundredths place, that 4 is in the hundredths. You look at the next number over, 5 and above, give it a shove. So that 6 makes the 4 go to a 5. So 6.25. So we get 6.25 times 10 to the 9th power. That's the answer. Okay? So why do we do it like that with the multiplication rules? Totally unrelated example. If we just have two, well, we could even say 1/2. No, I think it's going to be easier to understand if we don't do that. So if we just have 2 times 3 times 4, you don't multiply the 2 times both the 3 and the 4. You only multiply the 2 times 3 and then multiply the 4, right? And in multiplication, I can multiply in any order as we've talked about this year. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 4 is 24, right? If I multiply different order, 3 times 4 is 12, times 2 is 24, 2 times 4 is 8, times 3 is 24. So you get 24 regardless of how you do it, but you only multiply this 2 times one of the numbers, not both. That's why we only multiply the 1/2 times one of the numbers, not both. Okay, so that's a proof as to why we do that. Okay, so that is it. Woo! Your homework is, oh, I can stop.